What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning into this video on Elvis is the Man. So this video, I really go in depth about a topic in Elvis's life that nobody really talks about. Not a lot of people have a lot of info on this subject, so I think it's good for Elvis fans to know about this. Now, this was like the last big movie role, or any movie role for that matter, that Elvis got in his lifetime. It was the last one, and I think it would have been, I'd say, the best movie in his career of movie making if he actually would have went through with it. Now, there's a lot of speculation. Why didn't he? Was it Parker? Did Elvis back out? Did he realize it'd be too hard for him to, get in shape and stay in shape mentally? And let's not forget, 2 years ago, he did it for Aloha from Hawaii. So let's do a deep dive into this topic. I hope you enjoy it.
So it was March 28th, 1975, and Elvis was in Las Vegas for the 6th year in a row. Barbra Streisand was in the audience that Friday night for the midnight show to pitch Elvis the idea of being the leading male actor in a remake of the movie which she was to star, A Star is Born. The movie would be about a declining rock star, Elvis, whose star was fading due to addictions to drugs and alcohol. Their encounter turns romantic, and he soon realizes that she, in fact, has a great talent for singing and performing, and she, Streisand, ends up outshining him. He never gets his career on track, and the movie ends tragically with the singer, who would have been Elvis, dying in an auto accident. So many people, including me, feel like this could have been the movie that could have not only resurrected Elvis's movie career, but also saved his life. It was the mid-1970s, and Elvis had allowed himself to get into another rut. It had been a few years since he did anything that had given him a creative challenge that gave him the inspiration and the drive to focus again on a goal he'd like to achieve. It had been a few years since Aloha, where he dominated the ratings for one night and spawned a #1 album from it. 3 years since the record-setting 4 sold-out shows at Madison Square Garden and the Golden Globe-winning Elvis on Tour concert documentary. And 3 years since Elvis topped the charts with Burning Love. Elvis needed something to sink his teeth into. And with no new overseas touring on the horizon, and probably never for that matter, and Elvis knew it, no high-quality songs to record in nearly 6 years due to the Colonel's idiotic and short-sighted ideas about publishing, Elvis was declining fast. He had just turned 40, and his weight was beginning to creep up on him. The pills were definitely increasing to kill the boredom and sadness in his personal life and numb the inner voices telling him that there are no new mountains to climb. Because all Elvis was doing at this point was touring the same cities across the U.S. and about 2 trips a year for a long Vegas engagement. Been there, done that. When, just then, Elvis was given what he needed, an offer from an established and credible singer-actor, Barbra Streisand, and a reputable film company, offering Elvis a chance to realize his dream of being a serious actor, which may have been even deeper than his passion for singing. Elvis was always looking for that one role where he could prove himself as an actor. And this was said to be a sure hit. So, this was 1975, before all the health problems that made him cancel this year's August Vegas engagement and reschedule for later that year, before the New Year's Eve Silverdome performance in front of 60,000 people, where Elvis appears clearly overweight, splits his pants with a lackluster performance before he has months off. The horrible summer of 1976 shows the next year where people would actually walk out during his performance, something that never happened before. Before the 77 CBS special, which was an embarrassment to Elvis's career and image, you get the idea. In retrospect, this movie opportunity seemed like it could have been sent to Elvis from up above, just at the right time. This year was really a crossroads.
There's another young lady in the audience that's probably got one of the finest voices in the world. And she's a fantastic actress. She has a movie out now called Funny Lady, Funny Girl. Wait a minute. Would you say hello to Miss Barbara Streisand? Where are you, dear? Oh, right there. Stick right on there. Huh? Okay. Barbara, you've worked here, honey. They can't get a spotlight there, you know. There's no way, you know. Thank you for showing up. See you after the show. Okay.
So what happens? Barbara and her boyfriend meet with Elvis backstage and pitch the idea to Elvis, and Elvis immediately loves it. The movie even seems autobiographical. A rock legend who has lost his way and is now on a career decline headed downward quick. In April, Elvis goes back on tour again, and the first preliminary offers are sent to Elvis and the Colonel. Elvis was offered $500,000 and 10% of the movie profits plus second billing. 10 days later, on April 14th, Andreas countered, asked for $1 million and 50% of the profits, $100,000 for expenses, approval on the songs, which meant they would probably suck if Parker was over the approval, and a percentage of the soundtrack, which I think is fair. So this is where questions begin to arise. Did Elvis want out of this picture after he seemed to have really wanted to do it with all his heart? Or did Parker say, no, you're not doing it? Who pulled the plug on this? Because Barbara wanted Elvis. Was it just simply the price wasn't right? So there's conflicting stories. I've heard Sonny say some things, Billy Smith say a few things. Basically, the stories I've heard is Elvis started to realize the amount of effort and personal sacrifice he'd have to put into a movie production like this, which would take quite a while to do. The movie ended up coming out in December 1976. And Elvis thought about it and told Parker just to make the deal so stiff that Streisand wouldn't approve. Others just think Parker was too greedy and wanted too much money and, by his own stupid business moves, priced Elvis out of the opportunity to do this movie. So either way, the counter offer was not accepted by Streisand because it was just too much. Now, if we break down this deal, I think $1 million for the picture, it may have been, Elvis made just about $1 million a film in the 60s. Now, we're talking maybe 6-7 years later. Streisand was in this, so she wants to get her fair share. The only thing I think is out of line is 50% of the profits. That's incredible. Like, Elvis is going to make half of the profits on this movie, $100,000 for expenses, approval of the songs, which I said, would not be high quality if it followed the same pattern as the movie soundtracks of the 60s. A percentage of the soundtrack I think is fair because, Elvis would be dominating it. Yes, Streisand, she'd have her songs too, but I think Elvis to get nothing, no percentage of the soundtrack is, stupid. But either way, it didn't go through, and we're only left to speculate on what happened. Tell me in the comments why you think it didn't work out. Could this movie have been the one thing that Elvis needed that could have saved his life?
Another thing I find interesting is we know in this movie that Chris Christopherson was the rock and roll star, and at one point he had his shirt off playing for a huge crowd, and I wonder if Elvis would have done that. I wonder if he would have no, I'm gonna have a vest on or something like that. He had his shirt off for like Blue Hawaii and stuff, but it'd be hard at Elvis at 41 to have his shirt off unless he would have gotten that great a shape. But one of the reasons why maybe Elvis didn't do it was because he wasn't in shape. Him and Barbara both said when they were talking about this backstage, like, oh, I need to lose some weight. Like, Barbara's like, yeah, I do too. That's like one of the reasons why Elvis didn't do a lot of projects. Like the Gladiators movie, he said, yeah, I need to lose about 10 pounds before we get into some serious recording. Maybe it was just, how hard is it for Elvis to lose that weight? He did it many times, like in Aloha. He lost 25 pounds in like a month. to get ready for it. Maybe it was just an excuse for Elvis to not really do it, or maybe he had good intentions, and I don't know, it's hard to say, but I really wish this movie could have been in our Elvis collection. I think Elvis really could have done a great job with it. It's something that Elvis fans can always wonder about, but I hope you've enjoyed this little bit, this kind of mini documentary into it. Hit the like button, hit the notification button so you don't miss any videos, and we'll talk to you next time.